Hello everybody, and welcome back to Louisiana Homestead. I'm so glad you could join us today. Thank you all for subscribing, and for those of you who haven't, I hope you'll consider it. Today I'm going to be doing a Louisiana Delight icebox cake. It is delicious. It has chocolate pudding in it and Cool Whip, and it has a nice pecan buttery crust to go with it. The only thing that we're going to bake is the crust, and that's the first thing we're going to do. So let's mix up these ingredients to make our crust. It's going to take 1 cup of plain flour, a half a cup of chopped pecans, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and 1 stick of butter. Okay, we're going to mix this together, and once we have it mixed up and combined well, let me bring you closer so you can see what it looks like. Okay, once we have this combined well, we're going to put it down into the bottom of this baking dish here. It is a 13 by 9 inch baking dish. I have some parchment paper in the bottom of it, just so it doesn't stick. We'll be able to get it out easily. So that's all there is to it so far. I'm just gonna get this mixed up and get it into the oven. Your mixture will be crumbly like this. Just put it into your pan like that and work it around. Make sure it's all on the bottom there. Okay, and you just want to lightly tamp it. You don't have to press it very hard. Okay, that's good. It's going to go into the oven just like that at 350 for 15 minutes. I'll test it then to see if it's done. Okay, y'all ready, Freddie? I got this out of the oven. It smells so good. I've let it cool down. It's completely cool now, and it smells delicious. Oh, it smells so good with that butter in there. Okay, and pecans, the pecans kind of toasted in the oven a little bit. I ended up leaving mine in for 20 minutes, and I found that was sufficient. So we're going to put this crust to the side, and we're going to get started on the filling. Okay, I got a really big bowl here to mix in our filling. Let's see if I can get y'all in close here. Okay, how's that? We're going to be working with 2 boxes of this chocolate pudding. This is the small packages. So, like I said, we're going to use 2 of them. 2 of these. Right there. We're going to be using a cup of confectioner sugar or powdered sugar. We're going to be using 4 cups of milk. I used the canned milk, but it's half canned milk and half water. I diluted the canned milk and I put ice in it because I want it to be ice cold. This is to mix the pudding with. And I forgot to mention we're going to be using an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. And we're going to do this in a couple of layers. So we're going to start with the layer that has the cream cheese in it. And we're going to mix into this cream cheese that powdered sugar there. It's also going to have some Cool Whip in this. So let's get to mixing it. We're going to open up our cream cheese. And this is room temperature. You do want it to be softened for what we're about to do. You definitely don't want to start out with a big hunk of hard cream cheese. get this into our bowl here. We only need a small bowl, I think, to mix this portion of it, of the recipe for this next layer we're putting on top of our crust. To that, we're going to mix in our powdered sugar, a whole cup of it. I'm going to go ahead and use a fork because I think that's going to mix it better. Okay, let's see how this does. Oh yeah, it's doing good already. Some reason fork works really well with cream cheese and a confectioner's sugar. Okay, now we're going to add some Cool Whip into this. I usually buy the off-brand and just freeze it, but if you do freeze these, be careful that when you take them out to thaw them, you want to thaw them out in the refrigerator. You don't want to take it out of the freezer and just set it on the countertop, because it won't be in the same state. It'll almost liquefy. You definitely do not want that. But if you take it out of the freezer, say the night before your recipe, and just put it into the refrigerator, that'll be fine. It'll come back to what it's supposed to be. You won't have frozen and you won't have liquid either. Okay, it's calling for 8 ounces of this whipped topping, so we're going to add that in to this. It's also going to take some of this whipped topping on the top of it when we're done. So make sure to reserve some. I like to get the 16-ounce bowl of this whipped topping, so you would only use half of it. Today I had some left over in one bowl, so I'll be opening another bowl to put on the top of it. I just used what I had left in this one, which was half of it, so that works out perfect. Okay, now we can mix these together. Sorry y'all have to see this, but it's no big deal. Okay, we're just gonna mix this in. And this is gonna be our first layer in our Louisiana delight. So, let's make sure it's mixed in there good, because the Cool Whip is a lot lighter than that heavy mixture that we just did with the cream cheese and the powdered sugar. So it does take a little effort to make sure you have it mixed in very well. Okay, it's starting to look like it's mixed pretty good to me. All right, let's bring our crust back into the picture. Like that. And let's go on ahead and add this first layer in. I've made this several times before, and the last few times I made it, I didn't use the parchment paper and it stuck to the pan. So that's why I'm using the parchment paper this time. You want to be sure to use that parchment paper for this recipe, because for some reason that crust, which is absolutely delicious and I would not alter it at all, likes to stick to the pan. So use the parchment paper. Very simple fix. I love parchment paper. It works so good for baking. Wonderful invention. If you use a lot of parchment paper, leave me a comment. I like to know what other people use, or if you use something different that's more effective. I would be interested to find out what that is. Okay, and I still have a little bit on my fork over here. I want to get that off too because this is a very delicious mixture. I sure don't want to waste any of it. Look at there. Okay. There we go. Now we got it. But look, now it's stuck on this thing. Get that off of there. Okay, that's better. Alright, so now we're going to set this aside again. And we're going to make some pudding. Some chocolate pudding. Now, of course, I'm using canned milk only because I don't have any regular milk in the house. And I usually don't have regular milk in the house. Look now, I got this stuff flying everywhere. I thought it was still better than that. This is a new pudding, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay. That's one envelope. Let's get this envelope in there as well. Each one calls for 2 cups of milk, which is why I've got 4 cups measured out. So I'm using 2 of these envelopes here. Okay, get all that powder out of there. And into that, we're going to go with our 4 cups of milk. Alright. And I'm just going to use a little hand whisk to mix this up. Should come together pretty easily. I find this instant pudding mixes just fine by hand. It doesn't take it very long to start doing its job of what it does. It starts kind of congealing. Just want to make sure it's all mixed up good. Nothing stuck on the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You could use a mixer if you like. You know, do what you like. Whatever works for you. Like they say, whatever floats your boat. The directions on the box says, it just says to beat it. So, it doesn't say with what. And it does say for directions with non-dairy milk to go to their website. But this is dairy milk, so we're fine. You see how it's starting to thicken up? I'll do this for 2 minutes and then we'll pour this into our pie because this is going to be our next layer. Alright, let's bring our pie crust back with our first layer on it, and let's add in our chocolate layer to this. Okay. And on top of this, we're going to come back with some Cool Whip. So let's open up our next jug of Cool Whip that I tell you I still had to open. And it's whip topping, not necessarily Cool Whip. And this one was frozen. See how nicely it is defrosted? Looks just fine. You may want to let this set for just a moment before you try to spread this Cool Whip on it, because I'm thinking it's a little liquidy. You don't want to put your Cool Whip on it and it just roll everywhere. Okay, it's doing okay. You just have to be careful with it. You don't want to mash it real hard, you know. It's doing okay. That's gonna be so good. I would like to put a nice thick layer on there myself. And if you stir this a little bit, it'll make it a little more easy to work with too. Okay? Let's give it a little stir and it'll make it a little more fluid as well. Oh, some of it's coming up, my chocolate pudding. That's okay. Okie dokie. I find it takes a good bit of Cool Whip actually in this recipe. If you get a little bit of the chocolate on top, it's just going to add to the design and make it even prettier and more appetizing, in my opinion. Very nice. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, I think we should add a little more. Let's go for just a little bit more. Okay, that ought to do it. And then we'll come back on top with one last sprinkling of pecans, which I ground these up at the same time that I did for the crust, and I just reserved them for now. It's basically about a half a cup of pecans ground up. I like pecans a lot, so I have a tendency to go kind of heavy on the pecans whenever I'm making anything with pecans. Anytime you're using pecans, make sure you go through them and check for any little shells. Look, I'm talking about shells, and there's one right there. Always be on the lookout for those. You definitely don't want to be enjoying your dessert and bite down into one of those. The good thing is they're easy to spot, so you can take them out ahead of time. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's just that I still have some in this container, and I'm gonna go on ahead and use what I have. So let's get them on there. Get those pecans on there, y'all. Okay, that looks awesome. And it's just gonna go into the ice box and chill for a few hours, and then it'll be ready to serve. I'm gonna put a cover on it too. I love this pan. It came with a blue lid, just like this one, except for it was blue plastic. And after, 20 years, the lid began to deteriorate, and the pan was still good because it's a glass pan. Well, I got on eBay and started looking for a replacement lid, and there was a lot of replacement lids there. I was able to get one for not much. I don't remember exactly how much I paid for this one, but it wasn't much. And now I have a new lid for my Pyrex pan. So I always like to cover this dessert before I put it into the refrigerator. I don't want it to absorb any refrigerator smells. Okay? This dessert has all the ingredients a lot of people would love. The pecans, the butter, the pudding, chocolate, the whipped topping, the cream cheese, all of those things are so delicious. They come together to make a really delicious, refreshing summer dessert. And I've made this time and time again. It is wonderful. It's very delicious, and I know you'll enjoy it too. So, okay, it's come out of the ice box. It's been in there for about 3 or 4 hours, and I'm ready to cut a slice of it. So let's see how easy it'll come out of the pan this time. I want to make sure it is cut. Okay. There it is. Okay, I'm so excited to see how this tastes. I know how it tastes. I just can't wait to get a bite of it. So anyway, look how good that looks. Oh my gosh. It's got a nice crispy, crunchy crust. Look at there. Thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I know if you make this, you'll enjoy this. And I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.